Spazzy Jazzy here. I just had some self-reflection time for the beginning of the year. I think a lot of us are kind of doing the same thing and, looking at what our life is, what all of it entails, and kind of looking towards what we want to do. What do we want to change? And one of the questions that I want you to ask yourself today is, what are the things that you do to numb yourself to avoid facing your trauma? The things that you've been through, they affect you, whether or not you want it to, whether or not you realize it. So what are you doing? How are you coping? Are you using drugs and alcohol? Are you staying on social media and constantly staying among shows or finding things to distract yourself? Or are you taking the actual time to process what you've been through, reflect on how it's changed you, good and bad, and the ways that it affects your life? Because I find that a lot of us are doing that exact thing where we distract ourselves from the pain. And any wound that's left unhealed, it festers and it starts to rot. And you'll see it in your everyday life. You'll feel it, that wound. And a lot of us like to pretend that we can just put our trauma in this little tiny box and then we can just put it up in our attic and just forget about it, as if it's still not taking up space, as if that box isn't going to get bigger with all the mess that builds up. And then next thing you know, it's taking over your whole house. What are you going to do then? Are we looking at the mess around us right now, maybe, and being like, where do I even start? And I think the answer for that is just to start somewhere on one thing that you come to mind, that really brings to mind something that is a problem for you. Something that you say, I can't keep doing this. And starting there. So if you could just leave a comment about some of the things that, maybe you're starting to consider and you're starting your healing journey and you really are, realizing is affecting you. Those things are very common and it's often unchanged and it hurts for a long time. So if you can just reflect on that and ask yourself those questions, take some time, write it down, really consider all the ways that aspect has affected you. And if we're starting with one thing at a time, then it's a lot better than just the overwhelm of everything. Just finding somewhere to start, one thing you want to do better, one thing you want to change, and self-reflection is a good way to start. So if you're not feeling okay and it's the new year and you're overwhelmed and you can't figure out what to do, know that it's going to be okay. And it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to not feel okay. And know that you're not alone in feeling that way. And it's okay to not be okay. It really is. Be gentle with yourselves, guys.